What tricks do Sigma males have up their sleeves while navigating life? Do you use any of these tricks in your life? A Sigma male is a man who goes through life as a lone wolf and carves his way through life. He's a man within the social sexual hierarchy who lives outside society's normal social dominance and hierarchical structure. Sigma males are social misfits or lone men. Even though there are several traits he shares with an alpha male, but still tends to walk outside the hierarchy of conventional society. They tend to take more of a solitary path, and more lone wolves and wanderers, prefer the beat of their own drum, and do not take orders from people to conform to society's labels and systems. They prefer to be their own boss and refuse to surrender to societal pressure. The socio-sexual hierarchy attributed to Vox Day is a system that describes how men and boys relate to one another and organize themselves into different archetypes. These archetypes categorize men based on who they are and how they behave, their inclinations, and how women perceive them as potential mates. Number 1, they tend to sit in the back of the room. They like to keenly observe everything from a distance rather than being the center of attention. They pay attention and analyze what's going on, but are not necessarily antisocial. Unlike the alpha males who constantly seek attention, they would much prefer to blend in. They love sitting in the back of the classroom or conference room because it allows for a quick escape if needed. They tend to remain silent unless they have something to say or if prompted. Society might mistake them for being interested, but more often than not, they are observant and know more about what's going on than any others involved. They stay in the back and collect all the necessary information without being part of the unnecessary interaction. They don't long to be a people pleaser or need recognition from the crowd. Number 2, avoid overly talkative people. Sigmas are not big fans of being bothered by overly talkative people like salespeople. They prefer to analyze their options and make decisions without being influenced by other opinions. They value silence over small talk. They'll not hesitate to ask if they have a question or need help, but they tend to figure things out independently. They dislike being pressured into doing or buying things. They might even walk out of stores if pressured into buying things they don't want to. They hate people who push products on them and use pressure tactics to make them buy them. Even though Sigmas know it is part of the job, they may not respond positively and quickly move to another store. They value straightforwardness in people and don't like to play around the bush when it comes to important matters. Number 3, they don't like being complimented. Sigmas think of compliments as a trap, and sometimes the delivery can be quite off-putting. Sigmas tend to be humble in their demeanor and don't necessarily need validation from others to feel good about themselves. They know exactly who they are and know their worth, and unlike alpha males, they don't need anyone to boost their egos. They don't like it when people flatter them just to get something in return. They're smart enough to see through such insincere flattery. What they want is for people to listen and pay attention to them and follow their advice, so one should compliment Sigmas sparingly. Number 4, avoid loudmouth people at all costs. Loudmouth people are always talking and trying to get attention wherever they go. They want to be the center of attention and can be quite loud, annoying, and obnoxious. Sigmas fear getting into a conversation with these people as it can be difficult to get out. So instead of wasting their time engaging with these people, Sigmas avoid them at all costs. Sigmas tend to talk to and spend time with people they have something in common with. Sigmas may get backlash for being snobbish, but the truth is, they just hate small talk. The people that waste their time. Number 5, they don't smile very often. Sigmas don't necessarily find the need to smile all the time. It does not mean that they are sad or depressed or that they are not enjoying themselves. They tend to feel everything internally and don't necessarily need to express every emotion out loud. People may mistake them for being aloof or unattached to their emotions. They keep their thoughts and emotions to themselves and are quite content in enjoying the moment without feeling the need to share everything with everyone around them. Sigmas are more introverted and introspective, unlike the alphas, who are very expressive and outgoing. Number 6, may ignore phone calls. Sigmas do not enjoy talking over phones. They are much more comfortable texting or talking in person. They find texting more efficient and prefer to save time over unnecessary small talk and added pleasantries. They would much rather prefer a text that gets to the point. It might seem a little rude, but it's just how they function. They're not trying to be impolite, but just not interested in talking on the phone all the time. They would most definitely answer it if it was an important call, but the best way to reach them is through text so that they can answer it at their convenience. Number 7, dislike being alone with boring and dramatic people. Let's be real, no one wants to be alone in a room with someone with nothing interesting to say or with someone who is constantly complaining about their problems. Sigmas particularly dislike being around people like that, mostly because talking to them is very draining and a waste of time. Sigmas prefer to surround themselves with people who excite and inspire them. They like to be around people who make them laugh. Sigmas like to be in control of their situation and don't like to be dragged into something they cannot control. Sigmas like to be independent and are not interested in needy and dramatic people. This might seem very unrelenting, but it's because Sigmas are often very successful and don't want anything or anyone to come in their way. Number 8. Pretend not to be home. Sigmas are masters of convertness when it comes to pretending they are not home. When someone unknown rings the doorbell, they'll often avoid answering the door if they do not know who you are. They'll pretend not to be home just to avoid an awkward interaction with that person. They give high value to their privacy and they're not fond of being disturbed while they are focusing on something important. By pretending not to be home, they stay in their own little bubble without being distracted. Sigmas do not care about other people's opinions of them or need their validation. They're always focused on something important to them and do not like wasting their time. They're not always socially awkward, but maybe simply uninterested in social situations. Number 9. They only have a few friends. Sigmas are very selective in terms of their friend circle. They're very careful about who they let into their inner circle and do not open up themselves to anyone. They only share their thoughts and feelings with the people they are most comfortable with and trust. They understand the importance of having valuable people around them. They're very private and do not share much about themselves with others. They tend to go for quality over quantity and are very loyal to the people close to them, but will not hesitate to cut ties with the people who are toxic in their lives. They don't let any relationship or problem hamper their productivity. But close friendships give Sigmas a sense of belonging in the world and can be of significant benefit. Sigmas are also great listeners and know how to make others feel better. Number 10. They recharge when they're alone. Sigmas are naturally introverted and often feel drained after being around many people for too long. They're the lone wolves and don't need to be with others to be content with themselves. They find happiness in being one with nature and alone in their own thoughts. They can recharge themselves when they're on their own and get away from the noisy and chaotic world. They feel refreshed with a clear mind, ready to take on the world. For Sigmas, being alone is necessary as it allows them to reset their minds. They value solitude and love to decompress during their time alone. They have learned to depend on themselves and tend to be more self-sufficient. Sigmas live in their own small bubble and view excessive social activities as a serious distraction. So what do you think about these Sigma male tricks? Do you use any of them? Or do you know anyone who does? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.